7 dangerous personalities Stoicism urges you to avoid for a better life. Imagine this: you're standing on the edge of a vast, serene ocean at sunset. The waves gently lap against the shore, and for a moment, everything feels perfectly in harmony. But suddenly, the sky darkens. A storm brews on the horizon. The waves grow restless. You realize the storm isn't in the distance. It's within you. It's the storm of emotions, toxic relationships, and destructive influences that we unknowingly allow into our lives. What if I told you that the most profound way to calm this storm doesn't lie in controlling others, but in controlling who you let sail into your harbor? Stoicism, a timeless philosophy, holds the key to this wisdom. It doesn't just teach us how to endure life's challenges. It teaches us who to avoid entirely for the sake of our peace and growth. Today, we'll explore 7 dangerous personalities that Stoicism urges us to keep at bay. These are not just people but archetypes of behaviors, attitudes, and energies that quietly chip away at our serenity. The first personality, the perpetual complainer. This is the person who finds fault with everything: the weather, their job, their relationships, and yes, even the coffee they ordered this morning. Complaining is their default mode, and they infect the air around them with negativity. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is within our control, but the complainer thrives on magnifying what's outside theirs. They drag you into their world of helplessness, making you forget your own power to act. Ask yourself, do you let the complainers in your life dictate your emotional climate? Or do you, like a Stoic, choose to rise above their storms? The second personality, the drama magnet. You know this person. Chaos follows them like a shadow. If there's peace, they disrupt it. If there's tension, they amplify it. Stoicism tells us to value tranquility, to see the stillness within ourselves as sacred. Yet the drama magnet feeds on the opposite. They crave the turbulence, the attention, the spectacle. The Stoic response: distance yourself, for their presence is an obstacle to the serenity you seek. Now, here's a challenge for you. Can you identify one drama magnet in your life and imagine how your mental space would transform without their influence? The third personality, the Eternal Critic. This is not constructive feedback we're talking about. The Eternal Critic doesn't aim to help. They aim to belittle. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius remind us that opinions are not facts. Yet the Eternal Critic blurs this line. They project their insecurities onto others, cutting down your confidence while masking their own flaws. Remember this: their words only have the power you give them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What if we applied this to every encounter with an Eternal Critic? Instead of internalizing their negativity, we could see it for what it is: a reflection of their inner turmoil, not ours. The fourth personality, the Relentless Pessimist. Pessimism is a quiet poison. It doesn't announce itself loudly like drama or criticism. It whispers doubts into your ear, making you question your path. Why try when failure is certain? It says. Stoicism teaches us to anticipate challenges but not to be consumed by them. To let a pessimist influence your mindset is to allow your inner fire to be extinguished. Consider this: what would your life look like if you replaced pessimism with the Stoic practice of amor fati, loving your fate, whatever it may bring? The fifth personality, the Manipulator. The puppet master. They operate in shadows, pulling strings to serve their agenda. Manipulators erode trust, one of the cornerstones of meaningful relationships. A Stoic recognizes manipulation as an attempt to control what is not theirs to control: your mind, your actions, your will. Epictetus teaches us to guard our inner citadel fiercely, for it is our sanctuary. But here's a deeper question. How often do we unknowingly let manipulators into our fortress? And how can we reclaim our autonomy once we recognize them? The sixth personality, the self-absorbed. Their world begins and ends with themselves. Your achievements, struggles, and joys are merely footnotes in their story. Stoicism urges us to practice humility and shared humanity. Yet the self-absorbed thrive on placing themselves at the center of every narrative. They distract us from the Stoic virtue of focusing on what truly matters: character, virtue, and service to others. The seventh and final personality for this part, the Impulsive Reactor. They are the ones who act first and think later, if at all. Their knee-jerk reactions create ripple effects of chaos in their wake. Stoicism is fundamentally about mastering our impulses, about choosing deliberate action over reckless reaction. To align with an impulsive reactor is to risk being pulled into their whirlwind, losing sight of your own steady path. Before we move on, let me leave you with a question to reflect on. If your life were a fortress, who among these seven would be the biggest threat to its walls? And what would it take to fortify yourself against them? How dangerous personalities undermine your Stoic serenity and the art of building a life of tranquility. Imagine this: you're seated in a quiet room, a candle flickering softly beside you. For a moment, the world feels distant, and you're entirely present. But then, the voices of the dangerous personalities echo in your mind. The complainer, the drama magnet, the manipulator. They seep into your thoughts, not because they are present in the room, but because their presence in your life has left a residue. Stoicism reminds us that we become the average of the people we surround ourselves with. Their energy, their attitudes, and even their flaws can bleed into our own character. If we don't choose our company wisely, we risk losing the very tranquility we seek. Let's dive deeper into how these dangerous personalities undermine your Stoic serenity, and, more importantly, how you can fortify yourself against their influence. Take the perpetual complainer. For example, at first glance, they seem harmless, perhaps even relatable. After all, who doesn't have something to gripe about? But over time, their constant focus on what's wrong becomes a subtle but relentless assault on your mindset. Complaints are like weeds in a garden. They spread, choke out the flowers, and leave the soil barren. Stoicism teaches us to focus on gratitude and acceptance. Yet complainers tempt us to do the opposite, to resist life as it is, to stew in discontent. Ask yourself, how often do you unknowingly adopt their worldview? How much of your energy is spent pointing out what's wrong rather than building what's right? Now consider the drama magnet. Their chaos can feel oddly captivating. They draw you in with tales of conflict, betrayal, and scandal. It's almost addictive, this roller coaster of emotional highs and lows. But what happens after the thrill fades? You're left exhausted, your peace disrupted, and your focus scattered. Marcus Aurelius warned against being swept away by external distractions, urging us to return to our inner stillness. Think about this: what price are you paying for the drama you entertain? And is it worth the cost of your peace? The Eternal Critic might seem like a harsh teacher at first, someone who tells it like it is, but their constant nitpicking chips away at your self-esteem. Instead of inspiring improvement, they foster self-doubt. A Stoic understands that true growth comes from within, not from relentless external judgment. As Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." The Eternal Critic distracts you from this self-directed clarity by making you believe their voice is more important than your own. Pause for a moment. Are there critics in your life whose opinions you've mistaken for truth? And what would happen if you chose to silence their voices in your mind? The Relentless Pessimist presents a unique challenge. Their negativity isn't loud or overt. It's subtle, like a slow drip of water wearing away at stone. Pessimists don't just discourage action, they undermine hope. And without hope, what's the point of striving for virtue or improvement? Stoicism doesn't deny the existence of challenges. It embraces them. But it also teaches us to approach life with courage, optimism, and a willingness to adapt. Reflect on this. Do you let pessimism dictate your choices? Or do you dare to hope even in uncertainty? The manipulator operates like a Trojan horse. They gain your trust, only to use it against you. Manipulation is a violation of the Stoic principle of autonomy. To be manipulated is to relinquish control over your own mind and actions, a direct contradiction to the Stoic ideal of mastering oneself. But recognizing manipulation is only half the battle. The real challenge lies in reclaiming your power without resorting to anger or resentment. Here's a question to ponder. How can you set boundaries with manipulators while maintaining your inner tranquility? The self-absorbed might seem less harmful than the others. After all, their focus is on themselves, not you, but their indifference to your needs and feelings can leave you feeling invisible, unvalued. A Stoic finds joy in connection and shared humanity, yet the self-absorbed make this difficult. Their presence reminds us of the importance of choosing relationships that nourish rather than deplete us. Ask yourself, are there people in your life who take more than they give? And if so, why do you allow it? Finally, the impulsive reactor. Their unpredictability can be exciting, even entertaining at times, but their lack of control creates chaos. Stoicism values deliberate action, the pause between stimulus and response. Impulsive reactors, on the other hand, act without thought, pulling you into their whirlwind. The key to dealing with them is to cultivate your own calm, to become a steady anchor in their storm. Challenge yourself. The next time you encounter an impulsive reactor, can you practice patience instead of reaction? Can you model the composure they lack? So, how do we protect ourselves from these 7 dangerous personalities? The Stoic approach isn't about isolation or judgment. It's about discernment. It's about recognizing that the company we keep shapes who we become. Seneca wrote, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." This isn't just advice. It's a call to action. Imagine building your life like a fortress, with walls that protect your peace and gates that open only for those who uplift, inspire, and challenge you to grow. What would your fortress look like? Who would you welcome in? And who would you gently turn away? As we move into the final part, let me leave you with this thought. What if the key to a better life isn't adding more but subtracting the influences that harm your serenity? The Stoic path to inner freedom, replacing toxic influences with virtuous allies. Picture a garden. It's lush, vibrant, and brimming with life. Every flower thrives under your care, and the air is fragrant with possibility. But then, without notice, weeds begin to sprout. At first, they seem harmless, even natural, but over time, they choke the roots, steal the nutrients, and turn your garden into a wasteland. This is what dangerous personalities do to your life. They are the weeds that rob you of your inner freedom, of the serenity that Stoicism teaches us to protect at all costs. But what if we flipped the script? What if, instead of merely avoiding these toxic influences, we cultivated virtuous allies who nourish our growth? Stoicism isn't just about removing the negative. It's about embracing the positive. It's about surrounding ourselves with people whose values align with our own, who push us toward wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Let's start with the complainer. If you remove the constant grumblers from your life, you create space for gratitude. Imagine replacing the complainer with someone who practices appreciation, who sees beauty in the mundane and opportunity in adversity. This kind of person inspires you to reframe challenges as growth opportunities. Their optimism becomes contagious, reminding you of Marcus Aurelius' words, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Ask yourself, who in your life encourages you to see obstacles as blessings in disguise? And how can you strengthen that connection? Now, think about the drama magnet. Once you distance yourself from their chaos, you make room for the steady, calm presence of a peacekeeper. The peacekeeper isn't passive. They are proactive in resolving conflict, in finding harmony amidst discord. Their energy is a balm to your spirit, teaching you the value of moderation and emotional discipline. They embody the Stoic ideal of equanimity, showing you that peace isn't the absence of conflict but the mastery of it. Here's a question. When was the last time you sought out someone for their calming influence? How often do you prioritize peace over excitement? The Eternal Critic leaves a void filled with self-doubt. But what if you replace them with a mentor? A mentor doesn't tear you down. They build you up. They offer constructive guidance. Not to belittle you, but to help you grow. They challenge you to reflect, to question, and to improve, not out of spite, but out of love for the potential they see in you. Seneca himself was a mentor to Nero, attempting to instill wisdom and virtue, even if the lessons ultimately fell on deaf ears. Consider this: who in your life serves as a true mentor? Someone who critiques with kindness and pushes you toward excellence? The pessimist, with their shadowed worldview, can be replaced by the visionary. A visionary sees beyond the immediate. They inspire hope and action. They embody the Stoic principle of focusing on what you can control while accepting what you cannot. They encourage you to dream big but act wisely. Their presence reminds you of the infinite possibilities that life offers when approached with courage and clarity. Ask yourself, how often do you surround yourself with people who inspire you to think beyond your limits? And what steps can you take to cultivate relationships with visionaries? The manipulator, who erodes trust, can be counterbalanced by the giver. The giver acts with integrity and generosity, seeking not what they can take from you but what they can offer. They remind you of the Stoic virtue of justice, the idea that we are here to serve others and contribute to the greater good. Their selflessness is a mirror, reflecting the kind of person you aspire to be. Think about this: who in your life embodies the spirit of giving? How can you learn from their example to become a giver yourself? The self-absorbed can be replaced by the empath. The empath listens deeply, understands without judgment, and connects without ego. They remind you of the Stoic teaching that we are all interconnected, that our actions ripple through the lives of others. An empath sees your struggles as their own, not to pity you, but to stand with you in solidarity. They remind you that humility and connection are the foundations of a meaningful life. Here's a reflection. When was the last time you truly felt heard? How can you foster relationships with those who value empathy over ego? Finally, the impulsive reactor. Once you've distanced yourself from their chaos, you can seek out the deliberate thinker. The deliberate thinker doesn't rush. They reflect. They embody the Stoic practice of pausing before reacting, of choosing their words and actions with care. Their steadiness inspires you to do the same, helping you build resilience and self-control. Ask yourself, who in your life models patience and deliberation? And how can you incorporate their example into your own actions? As we journey toward a Stoic life, it's not enough to simply avoid the weeds. We must actively plant and nurture the seeds of virtue in our relationships. The people we choose to walk with on this path shape not only our actions but also our character. Surrounding yourself with virtuous allies isn't just about building a better life. It's about becoming a better person. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." But I would add this: it is also about who stands beside you when life happens. Are they helping you build resilience, or are they tearing it down? Before we close, let me leave you with a challenge. Take stock of your relationships. Identify one person from the 7 dangerous personalities who might be holding you back. Then, think of one virtuous ally who lifts you up. How will you act on this awareness to protect your peace and nurture your growth? Remember, a Stoic life isn't just about enduring the storm. It's about choosing who you let sail beside you, so that together, you can navigate the vast, unpredictable ocean of life with wisdom and grace.